Hello everyone, it's day 2 of our AWS Gujarat Student Builders Week, and today's host is Tejasvi, who is going to introduce our speakers.
Hello everyone. So a very warm welcome to day 2 of the AWS Gujarat Students Builder Week 2026. I hope you all enjoyed yesterday's session and got a very strong foundation in cloud computing. So today we are excited to continue with this journey with another insightful session. So yes, I am Tejasvi Sekhat, AWS Student Builder Group Leader at Darshan University, one of the organizing team members, and it's wonderful to see so many of you joining us from across Gujarat. So before we begin, very few quick reminders. Please stay till the end of the session to mark your attendance. Feel free to ask your question in the chat, and also we will have a dedicated Q&A session in the at the end. And if you are enjoying the event, don't forget to share your learnings on AWS Builder Center and social media by tagging our community. Don't forget that. So now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Manthan Sir. We are grateful to have him with us to share his knowledge and real world experience with the community. So let's welcome Manthan sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Tejasvi. Hope I'm audible. If not, just let me know. Um, Great. So I see. I just got to know that we have a lot of people waiting to get started, and that's exciting. That's exciting to know. Now, what are we going to cover today? We are going to cover EC2 compute, right? What is compute? So compute is the very foundational service which is used almost everywhere. I mean, any service that you go for is attached to EC2 somehow, right? So it is very foundational. Probably some of you might have already used it. If you have not used it, don't worry. We are going to going in the depth with what it is, and we are going to create an EC2 live in this call, right? So don't worry about it. With that, I will start. I'll start with my introduction. So I am Manthan Tripathi. I'm a technical architect at Proclink Consulting, and I'm also an AWS community builder. I'm very active in AWS community Ahmedabad. Um, if you are in Ahmedabad and if you have attended AWS meetup, you might have seen me. Um, all right, so let me share my screen with that. We are going to. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, compute is computer, right? Present it. Yeah. So what it means, right? Probably many of you might have started your career recently, and you might be creating this AWS EC2 and all. But when I started my career, it was not like that. I mean, AWS EC2 was very fancy word, and it was like only few of the wizards were knowing that what is AWS EC2. For us, it was like this DAS. I guess you might have heard about infrastructure as a service, and you might have heard about platform as a service. This is something new, which is desktop as a service, desktop as a server, right? So we used to have desktop as a server. The desktop systems, probably now all of you might be having laptop, but if anyone is having desktop, they can post the image, right? So those kind of desktop, we used to keep it as a server. And what we used to do, like what are the problems that we were facing, right? It is really challenging to have one simple system working as a server, because you need to make sure that you have proper internet connection. You need to make sure that the power is uninterrupted, right? So you also need a lot of things. I'll just share a small story about it. So what happened is that we deployed one of the application on just that desktop kind of server, and that application for a big client, right? And we were expecting too much load. So just to make sure that the server is not crash, what we used to do is we used to go into the office in shifts. So someone will be staying in the office from 9 to morning 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. The other person will come, and then this guy will go. The other person will stay from 4 o'clock to like 9, 10 o'clock, and then the other people might take care of it. So in that rotation, we have to take care that whether server is up and running, right? That's challenging. Internet, you have to make sure there is a thorough internet. If there is a huge spike and then your internet is broken, you're helpless. um, Electricity, right? There's a It's a monsoon season. Many of you might be facing the electricity issue. If that might also happen to your office, where you have kept that desktop as a server, and then if the electricity is gone, your server is down, your web application is gone, right? So that's where those were the days. And then we have got the EC2. Now what is EC2? EC2 is nothing different than this, right? When you want to buy buy a server, right? You probably, you guys might have purchased a laptop, and when you purchase a laptop, what are the things that you see in that laptop? Can I have a few message in the comments? Like what do you see in the laptop when you buy it? Yeah, maybe RAM, CPU, okay, hard disk. Yeah, so there are different things that you try to check in the laptop. That okay, what is the GPU, right? Correct. So you check like what are those things, and then you decide based on your requirement that okay, I need this much of RAM, this much of CPU, this much of GPU, and and then yeah, so Intel core, I can see the messages, processor performance, everything we see, and we select based on our requirement, right? We let's say you guys are student, you might be selecting, probably some of you might be selecting a gaming laptop, because your main objective might be gaming. But let's say if you are buying one server for your office, right, for to make that as a server, what are the things that you will see? That you will see that whether it should be able to handle the traffic, it is having sufficient RAM for the traffic, it should have sufficient CPU for the traffic. All of them you have to identify, and then you can purchase it, right? So the same thing happens with the EC2. And today, what we are going to do is we are going to buy a server, not physically, but we are going to do it from the AWS, which is in EC2. Okay. So with that, this is the end of the slideshow. We'll go to the AWS console. Right, that's the best way of learning, by doing the hands-on. So we'll go to the server. Okay, I'll share. All right, so we are on the EC2 portal. Now you can see a lot of things here: instances, dedicated hosts, key pairs, security groups, elastic IPs, right? Those, if you have not gone through this panel before this words looks very fancy, but trust me, it is very straightforward when you start working on it, right? So we are going to go through all of these keywords as much as I can cover today, because EC2 is really wide subject. I mean, we cannot cover each and everything in depth, but we will cover everything which is important for you to start running and up creating a server. Okay. Now we have to create an instance, but the main thing starts before even reaching here, right? Before even reaching to this panel. What is that main thing? The main thing is this, right? Region. So you guys might have heard about regions in yesterday's session. There are a lot of regions available, and then um, yeah, there are availability zones and all. If not, then there might be a session for it as well. So you have to select the region, proper region. um, North Virginia is the most used region. It contains a lot of servers. You can select that if you want to try it. For India people, it would be best to select the Mumbai region because it's closer to us. It will give good bandwidth. But how do you select a region, right? We'll start with that. How do you select a region? Based on your based on the people who are going to use this EC2. So for an example, I'm here in India. I'm going to create an application which is going to be used in Australia. Then I'm going to use Sydney as a region. If let's say we are creating an application and that is going to be used in India, Mumbai is our go-to server, go-to region. And then again for US, you can select any of this US based on the proximity of this region with your expected customer base. If your expected customer base is US, you have four options. You don't know what to go for, then go with the Northern Virginia, because that is the first of the region available, and that region gets the first of its updates. So any new service which is launched, uh, they might be launched in certain regions. North Virginia is the first one to get those updates, so that's where you should go for that. But yeah, for our purpose, we will go with the Mumbai. Okay. So yeah, I've already selected Mumbai, so it did not do anything. Why this is important, right? So if you have, let's say, selected Mumbai, created certain EC2 instances, and then the next time, if by mistake you change the region, you'll not be able to find your instance, right? And that's very common mistake. Like people say that, oh, I created the server, I don't see it happening, and I don't see it running. So that that is the most common thing that you have to take care. Okay, then we have instances. I have already created one instance for testing. Testing is required, and yeah, we are going to create one more. So going into that, launch an instance. First of all, we have to give it a name. What do we call it? EC2 demo. Okay. Then there is something called add additional tags. Okay. So I can add tags. Okay. Maybe some of you might be thinking that, oh, but we started creating an instance, we don't know all these things which are there. How are we going to decide like how to select and all? We are going there. We are going as we are progressing on it. We will explain each and everything on this. So yeah, starting with this one, tag, right? Tag is very simple thing. It's just a key value. So whatever you want to add just as a key value pair, kind of a metadata, you can add it here. So for an example, I would say created for, and the value would be AWS student um, student builder group. Okay. So I can write anything in the key, in the value. But what is the need of this? Why do we require tags, right? If you are creating instance for your learning, that is fine. You don't need to add so many tags, different tags and all. But if you are creating an instance for your company, okay, you might require to track those instances. What are the instances created by you? What are the instances? um what are the instances created by DevOps team, right? Let's say you are in the DevOps and you have to create an instance. You can create it saying that this instance is for accounting, this instance is for marketing, right? So based on that, you will be able to do the categorization, and this is not limited to EC2. This is everywhere. Like these tags you can also add. So let's say you have created an EC2 instance, you can add a tag there. You are creating a database for the same purpose, just add the same tag there. You will have both of them grouped together if you want to see that in the billing. All right, moving to the next one, application and OS images, right? So now I'm going back to the previous thing that I mentioned, that we are going to buy a server, right? So uh, if we want to buy a laptop, you first decide your hardware requirements, right? That this might be my my hardware, I mean CPU, this must be my RAM and all. And then comes the part that which OS it should have. So some of the laptops come with the DOS, some of the laptop comes with the Windows, right? Or you can also get Ubuntu installed as well. So this is that part, right? Which OS you want to go for, because this is a virtual machine, right? EC2, when you create, you are going to get a machine similar to your laptop, but it's a virtual machine, it's not the physical machine. So that's where it is important to choose an OS first, so that it can categorize accordingly. Now what are the options we have in the AMI? So Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, right? Based on your preference, you can select. But these are not limited to this. If you see here, there are a lot of AMIs available, right? So, for an example, if you have very specific thing, if we go down, we'll be able to see some spatial operating systems as well, right? So these are the quick start AMIs. That's where we are not able to see. If you see here, right, community AMIs are 500 and marketplace AMIs are 7,000. What is marketplace AMIs? Let's see there. So Fortinet, right? Fortigate, that's a firewall. So if you want to install, if you just want to create an EC2 for setting up your firewall, you can directly select this one and then create an instance. It will have everything inbuilt which is required for your Fortinet firewall. The same is for this Palo Alto and a lot of other marketplace AMIs, right? So these are the AMIs from which you start your journey, right? You select that which OS and which software should be predefined when I create my instance. Now let's say some of you says that okay, i can uh, I can go with, let's say, let's start with this one. So the best one, if you don't know anything, go for the Amazon Linux. Amazon Linux is kind of a Linux only, but it is optimized for AWS. So go for Amazon Linux, and let me select it. Okay, so now Amazon Linux is selected, and what else do you have? So let's say some of you say that okay, I selected Amazon Linux, and I need I'm running a WordPress company, okay, and I need an image. Using that, I should be able to create the WordPress instances quickly. So as soon as I create an instance, it should create the instance with the Ubuntu or Amazon Linux. It should install the Apache and all those, not Apache but LAMP server, and then it should also have those WordPress automatically installed, right? And I should be able to just open it and configure it. If you want to do that, what is required? You have to search for that WordPress image. Let's say you don't find it by any chance. What you can do is you create your own instance, set up whatever you want to set up, and then you can also create your own image. right? So that is my AMIs. I have not created any AMI so far, so that's where it is not visible here. But I can create my own AMI so that I don't need to create the same configuration again and again. Okay, so this is on the AMI. Now, when you use Amazon Linux, it creates a username for you, and then it also shows few information regarding this AMI. AMI is Amazon Machine Images, right? It is similar to Docker image if you have worked on it, but you're choosing your base OS basically. Okay, um, I'm going further. Instance type. So here is the best part. When you select your laptop, as I mentioned, the first thing that you select is hardware, and this is what matters a lot. Okay, so instance type T3 micro is selected, and then I can see lot of others as well. If you see this scroll bar, it there are so many instance types available. If you want to see right, compare instance type, let, let us see what it shows. Okay, so here it is saying there are 760 plus types of instance. Okay, types of instances. uh, Now what are these, right? T2 nano, T2 micro, T2 small, T2 medium. Let's learn from here. This is a page dedicated for instance types. So there are different categories of instance types. Now again, I'll go back to our example that you have to choose your laptop. How do you choose it? uh, let's say some of you says that I want to play games. I want gaming laptop. For gaming laptop, you need to make sure that you have a good RAM. You have a good you have SSD, right? Else your game will lag. Your network adapters and all should be properly optimized for high internet. Let's say some of you is not the game player. He don't want to play games. Um, he want to just learn AWS, and he want to do different things, learning and all with the laptop, but don't want to go high end. I mean, he don't want to go for high graphics and all the kind of things. He just want a basic laptop, right? That is one of them. uh, some of you might be video editor, any content creator here. So for video editing, you require again heavy CPU, right? Because that's very important. Now, heavy CPU with the slightly less. I mean, for video, you need, again, you need everything. I mean, memory is also required, but CPU is utmost priority. So everybody has needs some or the other requirement, and for that you can select this different types. So you see general purpose, where you don't know what you want to do this with this server. Probably you are creating just to learn it, right? Then create general purpose server. Probably you are creating it for a website, but you don't know that whether CPU is your priority, whether memory is your priority. Then the best bet is general purpose servers. Okay. Next is a compute optimize. So let's say you are creating a server for long running process. Let's say you're creating it for some of the cron jobs which are happening behind the scenes and taking a lot of aggregation, and doing a lot of processing behind the scenes. So then go for compute optimize. Memory optimize, if you need to dump heavy data into your RAM while you are processing, then you have to go with the memory optimized. Storage optimized, it is majorly for the distributed storage and all. Accelerated computing, AI is your use case. And if you want to create some AI application where you are doing training and all, inferencing, so then you can use accelerated computing instances. And high performance computing, right? Where high performance computing is also one of the subject. If you have not gone through it, it's like it requires a lot of processing. So that's where you go for this one. Now, if I'm you, I would say that but let's say I don't want to do anything fancy. Why should I not go for accelerated computing, right? I'll get the best out of it. Why should I select a general purpose, which is they are just sitting there, no, I mean, not doing anything else, any specialization, but I can get a lot of memory, lot of CPUs here. Why should I not go for this one? The reason is there is a cost, right? So there is a cost involved for each and every, there is a different cost for each and every instance type, depending on the CPUs it is providing, the memory it is providing, the network latency it is providing. Based on that, the cost is identified, right? So if you go for general purpose, if you have not a specific use case, you don't know what which one to be choose for. If you go for general purpose, your cost will be relatively low. But if for general purpose, if you are creating, let's say, Trinium 1, Trinium 2, you are going to pay like $100,000 soon. So this is very important thing, and you also have to find which instance you should create. Okay, now I'll go back, and we should, let's say, I told you, right? It will take the charges. It will incur the charges. So now some of you might be thinking that, okay, then I should not try this at my home, right? I cannot try this because if I do it, it will incur the charges. And just for that, AWS has provided these options for you, right? Free tier eligible. What is free tier? I hope every one of you knows it, but if someone don't know it, AWS offers a free tier. Like when you create a new account, it gives you $200 credit for 6 months, which you can use within the certain range, right? What is that certain range? So I'll share here. While I'm searching, I'll just speak about it. So free tier, what happens is that you can uh, you can have EC2 for 750 hours, right? 750 hours per month. Oh, okay. I'm just sharing one tab. Sorry, my bad. I'll share the entire window. Okay, now you guys will be able to see. Okay, so if I search for free tier here, you get $200 credit, and then you will see like what are the different services that you can do. You can check, right? So you have 750 hours of EC2 which you can use. Now what do it mean by 750 hours of EC2, right? So when you create an EC2, it runs on a, I mean, the virtual machine is created, and now that virtual machine, every hour you are going to pay charge for it. Let's say if you are created today morning, and then you have stopped that instance in the evening, then you are incurring for, like, let's say if you have used it for 12 hours, you'll be incurring the charges of 12 hours. Let's say you are not stopping it. After a month, you will get 750 hours. So if we see roughly, right, 31 days maximum in a month and 24 hours, it goes to around 730, right? So if you create one server, that is completely free, you are not going to incur any charges. But if you This is T3 micro, which is free tier eligible. If you create two servers of it, first will be charged, second will not be sorry, first will be free, second will be charged. So you have to make sure that you are within the limit when you use a free tier. Okay, so now resuming our story of purchasing a laptop. Okay, so T3 micro, you have so you can see there are a lot of families available, T2, T3. So T3 is T3 is a general purpose, T2 is also general purpose. It was famous earlier, but then now that's a next generation. So if you want to know like what is this T2 large, T is a family which is general purpose or compute optimized, 2 is the generation, and this is the capacity. Okay, for each uh, combination of family and generation, you will see different combinations, medium, large, and all. So if you just want to see like what is the difference between compute optimized and memory optimized, right? I was saying you that compute optimized is optimized for compute and memory optimized is optimized for memory. So here in the compute optimized, if you see here, we are getting, with the medium server, we are getting one CPU, two gigs of memory, then EBS it can be used here, and network bandwidth and all is visible here. Now, if we go to memory optimize with the medium, we get one CPU. We are getting 8 gigs of memory. Right here, there were one CPU with the 2 gigs, and here it is like 8 gigs because this is memory optimized. Right, that's where. Now, if you go to general purpose, right, T3, which is our simplest one and which we can use for the free tier as well. So with the medium, you get two, but I'll go for this one, which is something which is available in the free tier. So you get two vCPU. Okay, um, vCPU means you can consider it, just for simplicity, you can consider it as a dual core. Okay, then we have 1 gigs of memory, and then network performance and all. This is all optimized for general purpose. But there is something else here, which is CPU credits per hour. What is CPU credits per hour? So T3 is a burstable instance. What does it mean by burstable instance? So let's say you have unpredictable load, and today your server is just sitting idle, it is not being utilized, and after an hour it suddenly got a spike, right? So your CPU can go beyond its capacity. That is the best thing available in the general purpose. But to go beyond its capacity, it has to have this credits. Some of you might have that weekend data rollover plan, right? So it's like that in your weekend. If you are in your weekdays, if you are not using your uh, if you are not using the data plan, it will accumulate and then you can use it in the weekend. So it's just like that. The CPU credits which are not being utilized will be stored, and then it will be used when the time comes. But then some of you say that, okay, I'll keep my instance running for 2 months, I'll accumulate all the credits, and then I'll send all the loads there, right? That is not possible, because there is a limit for CPU credits as well. Like it you can only accumulate up to 72 credits for some of the instances. So it is also again based on the instances. So you can go in the details and you will be able to find all these details if you want to. But for learning, you don't need to go into that much of depth. You just need to select a free tier eligible instance, and we will proceed. Okay, next is the key pair. Again, very important, right? Now this is something you can say as your passcode when you log into your laptop. Generally, when you're purchasing a laptop, there is I mean they give you a laptop with a blank password, but here it's a virtual machine, and once it is created, it is online. I mean, people will be able to access it as well, right? So that's where, before even creating, you need to have the key pair created for it. So what is the key pair? It's a encryption technology where the public key will be stored with AWS, and then it will give you a private key which you have to keep with you. And when both of them match, then only it will allow the access to you. Now let's say you have created a key. Let us create a key. So what are the options here? So I can choose proceed without a key pair, which is there, as I mentioned earlier, it is not recommended. Okay. I can select any other key that I have created earlier. Okay, I created EC2 demo key earlier, so I can choose that as well. But I can also choose a new key. So I'm creating a new one. Okay, I can say EC2 best demo. Okay, now we have PEM and PPK. There are two options. PEM is generally, I mean, it is OpenSSH and Putty, but OpenSSH, mostly if you are using Ubuntu laptop or Linux laptops, you use PEM files. If you are Windows, if you are having Windows laptop, you can create PPK, which you can use with the Putty. What is the use of this key? As I mentioned earlier, you can connect to your system, your server, using this key. What if you lose this key? This is one of its key created just for you, for your private access. If you lose this key, you will lose access to your instance. So make sure whenever you are creating a key, you put it into some secure storage where you can also refer it later on, and nobody else can also refer it, right? When your key is lost, when it is hacked and somebody gets access to it, then your instance is lost, you can say that. So we have created a new key pair. Okay. How are we going so far? Is everything making sense? Type in the chat yes if everything is making sense. We'll go through the questions at the last. Okay. Then the next part, which is network setting. Okay. Now network setting, right? In our system, we generally choose that what kind of internet it is providing, whether it's 5 gigahertz, 2.2 gigahertz, whether it is having high speed internet or not. That is something we select. But here in the AWS EC2, it is slightly different than that. How different is that? You have to select a VPC and subnet. What is VPC? Again, the VPC requires its own topic and its own discussion. But for basic understanding, consider it as a box. Okay, when you want your server resources to be packed within a box and you want to have encapsulation, you can use VPC. How does that work? So let's say, as I mentioned earlier, we are working for a company and we are creating a software for accounting, right? Accounting software are very sensitive, right? Company's accounting software has all the company employee salaries. Let's say if an IT developer gets an access to that database, he will be able to see everything. He will be able to see how much profit company is making, right? So you want to make sure that that server and that database that I have created for accounting is secure than everything else. Then I'll create a separate VPC for it. VPC is a virtual private cloud. So you create a separate VPC for it. You create your EC2 inside that VPC. You create database inside that VPC. Now your database and your EC2 are in the same VPC so that they can talk to each other, but nobody from outside will be able to talk to them, right? If I create within the same AWS account, if I create another EC2 instance and I try to talk to that database, I try to connect to that database, I will not be able to do that until I am inside the same VPC. Okay, so that's the kind of security that VPC provides. Next is a security group, right? As its name suggests, this firewall word was not there earlier, but it makes so much sense to have it here, and that's where they have added it. Security group is similar to a firewall. Okay, what does a firewall do? It restricts the traffic inbound and outbound, right? So here you can select what kind of IPs you are allowing. Okay, so these are the quick rules. It is mentioned here. Allow SSH traffic from anywhere, custom or my IP. Okay. Allow HTTP traffic from internet. Allow HTTP. Sorry, this is HTTPS. This is HTTP traffic from internet. If I allow them, then only it will allow people to come to the server, and they will be able to make a call to HTTP. Else, they will not be able to do that. Okay. Now SSH, I selected my IP. I could have selected anywhere as well, right? But what is my IP? So my IP is the IP of the computer that I'm creating this, right? But I don't have a static IP. My IP is changing every time, right? I'm just using normal broadband. So then if I select my IP, what will happen is until my IP is not changed, I will be able to access it. Then I will again have a problem. I have to go to AWS console. I have to change the IP, and then I have to set set my IP again. The new IP I have to set, and then only I will be able to do SSH. What is SSH? SSH is to connect to your system, connect to your server after creating it. And if you want to run some command, if you want to host some applications, you require to do SSH. And again, SSH is very important. You cannot just keep it open like this. So let's say if I keep my IP, okay, let's say my IP is static and my IP is not changing again and again, then I can go for my IP. What additional security I will get is, let's say, as I mentioned earlier, this key pair, right? This key pair, if it is exposed, if somebody has got my key pair, they will be able to log into my system. But if I have selected my IP here, they will still not be able to get into it, because my firewall will restrict that you are not allowed, only this IP is allowed. Okay, but for now I'll go with anywhere, so that we will be able to connect, we don't lose that. Okay, with the security group, you can add more things. For an example, like we have allowed SSH, HTTP, HTTPS. These are very common. That's where it is visible here. Let's say you are creating some special purpose EC2 instance. For an example, for uh, SMTP, if you want to have SMTP access, you can set it up in the security group. So it's like a firewall. Any protocol that you want to allow, disallow, you can set it in um, the security groups. Okay, moving to the next step, configure storage, hard disk, very important. Okay, at what kind of storage you want in your system. So if you have a free tier, you can have 30 gigs of storage for your EC2, right? So 30 gigs is not for I mean, it's not per instance, it is in total. So if you are, let's say, if you are creating two instances, if you are using 1515, you are still within the range for the storage. But if you are creating, let's say, 3030 in both of them, your 30 gigs are free, rest of the 30 gigs you will have to pay. Okay, for now this is just a demo purpose instance, so we will go with 8 GB. Okay, what are these options? You see, again, there are different options. There are SSDs, there are provisioned IOPS SSDs, which are very fast, very fast performance, right? So if you have something where you have to quickly do IOPS operation, then you can use provisioned IOPS as well. And then we have magnetic as well, which is very simple, and magnetic disk That's an age old thing, I guess. Probably some of you might not be aware about it, but yeah, that is also available if you want to go for it. um, for now we'll go with the SSD, which is also free tier available. I'm selecting 8 GB. Okay, then I have certain options here. File systems, right? So what is that? EFS, FSX, and S3 files. um, Again, this is advanced level topic, but I'll try to cover as much as I can. EFS is a file system which can be shared between multiple EC2s, right? When you create an EC2, it will just like your laptop, a hard drive which is shared, which is connected to your laptop, and it is just dedicated to your laptop, right? So nobody will be able to write on it, nobody will be able to read from it. But let's say there is something called NAS, right? How many of you know NAS? Just type in the chat me. um, so NAS is a network attached storage where you will be able to access the data, you will be able to write the data. Somebody else within your same network will also be able to do that. So EFS is similar to that. You just create one storage, and then you can have multiple EC2s writing and reading to it. Okay. FSX is a protocol for again high performance computing, which is also similar to EFS, but it's against purpose. And then there is S3 files. So it mentioned here new, right? So recent, up to recently, and to last reinvent, only I mean S3 was only used as a store, I mean file storage and all independently. You cannot attach it to EC2. But now this is also available. If you want to store your images and all in the S3, and you want them to be accessed within the from the EC2, you can also use S3 files as a file system. There are certain limitation to it. It is not very I mean straightforward that you can store any file and you can retrieve any file. There are limitations to it. You can read about it. It was just launched this year. So yeah, that's it. We have reached to the end. Let's revise. We wanted to buy a CPU. I wanted to buy a laptop. For that, I wanted to select CPU. That's my instant type. I wanted to select memory, that how much RAM I want. That is again go with the instance type. I want to select how much hard disk I will get. That is the storage. I want to select what kind of connections are allowed. That is network settings. I want to select which OS to be installed. That is my AMI. Okay, and the last one, which is key pair, which is your password, and it is just a file you cannot lose. Okay, so these are the common options available. Now we'll go into advanced details. This advanced details are not for the normal scenarios. It is for any advanced purpose. If you are creating and if you need additional advanced options, you can select it, but we'll quickly go through very few important ones. So shutdown behavior and stop behavior. What do you want when somebody clicks on stop? Do you want to enable detailed CloudWatch monitoring? So when you create an EC2 instance, your CloudWatch monitoring is attached. I mean, it is by default, but it can only log certain details, which is like once every minute. It sends the details to CloudWatch and all. Now, if you want to know more granular details, you can enable the detailed CloudWatch monitoring. Again, not for the learning purpose. You should keep all this disabled. Even if you are creating an instance for learning purpose, do not even go into advanced details. Go ahead with the basic details and create it. Then this is an interesting thing, spot instance, right? When you create an EC2 instance, as I mentioned earlier, it's an on demand instances. So on demand instances means what? When you create it, from that point onward, you should start paying every hour, right? And your charges will be based on the instance types and all whatever you have selected. In case you want a cheaper option, you can go for spot instance. What is spot instance? Spot instance are the servers, the instances which you can avail for almost 90% discount. Okay, 90% discount. Yes, which, but obviously with the discount there should be some limitation, right? So what is that limitation? The limitation is that that spot instance can be removed at any time. Okay, that is AWS can revoke that spot instances at any time, and then it will give it back to you after, but a new spot instance can be given to you, right? So if you have something stored in your spot instance, AWS revokes it, it's gone. You will not be able to access it again, right? So um, it's not for normal use cases, but let's say you are creating something on the EKS and all, which are very high level services for this setting, but where you are not going to store anything your EC2, everything is stored elsewhere in the database and all there. And if you want to create a new server, that is also very easy for you. You have an AMI created for it, you have an image created for it, then you can go for spot instance. Let's say you want to create 10 servers, you will be charged for one only, but still you are running on 10 servers. One of them is taken, you create one more, you are good to go. So that's spot instance. Then again, as I mentioned, when you create a server, you are paying per hour, right? But there are certain reservation as well. So let's say you are creating server for your website, and you know that you generally have 100 users, and it can grow up to 1,000 within a year. What you can do is, for the 1,000 user, if you required certain capacity, you tell it to AWS that, hey, I want, I'm sure that I'm going to use this instance for 1 year, I'm going to use this much of capacity, give me discount. And then if you are buying for 1 year or 3 year, you will get those discounts as well. So those are the capacity reservation. Okay, and then the last one, user data. User data is again a very nice feature. Um, if you are creating multiple instances, and if you have to run a script every time you create an instance, let's say, again, I am going back to the WordPress thing, that let's say there are 10 commands that you have to install every time you create a server, then just write those 10 commands here, and AWS will execute those 10 commands on behalf of you when the first time instance is created. So it will have, let's say, all those commands are pre-executed, and you will get the server which you want after running those commands. Okay, but as I mentioned, we are not going into advanced details, and we are closing it here. There is a summary. We can launch instance. Okay, the launch instance is created. All right, so our instance is created. Here are the information. This is my instance ID, my auto assigned IP address, right? You can see my IPv4 address. My instance state is running. This is my private DNS name. Like, what is difference between public IPv4 address and then private private IP address, right? So this is my private IP address. So public IP address is public, means it is open globally, someone will be able to access it. But the private IPv4 address is an IP address within my AWS account, right? So within the AWS ecosystem, let's say I want to connect from my EC2 to my database, right? It will use this IP address internally. So if I want to allow that my database should allow one IP address, then I'll allow this private IP address, okay, instead of the public one, because public one could be changed, the private one will stay as it is. This public IP address, if you see here, it is saying auto assigned IP address, right? It is just like our broadband internet. It is randomly choosing the IP address and assigning it. So what happened if we stop the instance and create it again? I mean, restart it. It will have a new IPv4 address. Okay, it might have a new IPv4 address. Sometimes, if you just restart directly, you will not your IPv4 address might not change. But sometimes, if you stop it for a minute and then start it again, your IPv4 address is changed. Now that's a big problem. You have created a website using this instance. You have attached this IP address to your website DNS, and then now your IP address is changed, right? Now your website is not accessible. What do we do with that? So that's where this elastic IP comes in the place. What it means by elastic IP? So in elastic IP is an IP address which will not change. It will be static. You can create it and you can allocate it to your instance. Okay, so I'll ask for an IP address. Allocate. It has allocated me a new IP address. That sounds good. I'll select it and I'll attach it to my. Okay, EC2 demo is something we created now, and the private IP address. Okay, perfect. Now our instance that we just created, you see, we have the IP address which is elastic, right? Now, very important thing and very strange thing about IP address is when you create it, if you do not allocate it to EC2 instance, you will be paying charges because you are just creating IP address for nothing, and then you have to pay the charges. But if you allocate it to it to any EC2 instance, your elastic IP is free. Obviously, there is limit, like you can only have 5 such elastic IPs. But yeah, for your demo purpose, if you are creating an EC2 instance, you can do that. Okay, now what do we have? Status and alarms. So EC2 by default creates 2 status checks that that you will be able to see here. Metrics, system check, that EC2 automatically creates, and you can also create your own alarm. Like, let's say if you want to say, if my memory is 50%, more than 50% used, then trigger an alarm. If my CPU is 70% utilized, trigger an alarm. So you will be able to set those alarms here. Monitoring. Yeah, this is just fresh instance, so probably will not have much detail here. But here we'll be able to see the graphs of how much CPU is being utilized and how much network is coming in, out, and all. Security is the firewall. If you remember, if you have talked about, so we have allowed 3 things: SSH, HTTPS, HTTP. All of them are visible here. That I'm allowing it from anywhere. We will be able to change it if we want to. Networking is VPC, storage is the hard disk, and that is it. Now if we go here, right, we have instance types. We have seen, right, what are the different instance types, which is T3, T4, and you see that there are 760 different types of instances. You will be able to see it from here. Spot request, if you have created some spot instances, you have made some spot instance request, that is visible here. Savings plan, you have to, if you are giving a guarantee that I'm going to use this much of capacity, you will get the discounts. Reserve the instances, dedicated host, um, capacity reservation. AMIs is the thing that we have gone through. Like, you can use the AMI uh, that is by default, I mean, Ubuntu or Windows, anything, or you can also create your own AMI. EBS storage, which is volumes. Hard disk is mentioned here. Network security, load balancing. Load balancing is quite advanced topic. Probably some of the other session might cover it. So that is it for EC2. We have again touched the surface of EC2. I've just explained how to create a basic Amazon EC2, and you can configure, I mean, within your free tier. Okay, there are a lot of things that you can do with the EC2. You can create a database, you can connect a database with the EC2, you can see EC2 running and all. You can also have like compute running in the backend. Your batch services can run in the background. So there are a lot of things that you can do with the EC2, right? There is unlimited possibilities, but the important thing is that this is again a foundational service. So probably any of the services that you use, let's say EKS, if some of you have heard about it, that underlying creating an EC2 instance. EKS does not have its own instances. It is creating EC2, or you can use some other computes, but EC2 is most widely used compute, right? With that, I'll end my session. We are open to the questions. Okay, I see the comments. Brother, please go a bit slow. I'm sorry. EC2 is really vast topic. We cannot go slow in that because there are a lot of things, and I just wanted to cover how to create one instance within the given time. So, yeah, I'll make sure we create some kind of video and share it with everyone so that with the slow pace you will be able to go through it. Okay. Now I see one question. What about 0.0.0.IP? Okay. That is anywhere. So 0.0.0.0 means that any IP which matches this will be able to access. 0.0 means that any IP, I mean, in IP has four parts, right? CIDR. So with that, first three letters, I mean, first digit after before dot could be anything, second could be anything, third could be anything, and fourth could be anything. That is the zero. Let's say I want to say that I want to access my EC2 with 1.2.3 dot anything. Then I will say 1.2.3.0. So after 3 dot, if it comes like 1 or 3 or 5 or 20, anything comes in, I will be able to accept it. If I want to allow like first to 1.2.0.0, rest of the things can be anything. And then I can have like there is a slash as well, if you have noticed, which says that how many bits are allowed. Again, that's more on a networking part. Um but the whole CIDR is made up of 32 digits, 32 bits. So out of that, if you want to allow anything in the last one, you keep 1.2.3.0/8. That means it will allow only last in the last anything is allowed. If you add /16, it will allow in last two. If you add /32, it will allow everything. Okay. Uh, any other question?
Mm, Guys, if you have any questions, you can write it in the comments and Sir will answer it for you.
Okay. Looks like we have no comments.
Yeah.
Yes. Over to you, Tejasvi.
So,
Thank you so much. Thank you,
uh,
everyone.
thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and hands-on session. And before we introduce our next speaker, we'd like to take a quick attendance check. So we noticed that many participants joined today's session without completing their event registration. And because of this, it becomes difficult for us to share announcement, session recordings, and future opportunities. So we'll now share a quick attendance form in the chat, and I think you can see the okay. So it is shared in the chat as well. So please take a minute to fill it out. Completing this form will help us keep you updated throughout the Builder Center week. And we'll just wait for a minute while everyone completes the form. And yes, you can share the QR code as well. So we will wait for a few minutes until you complete the form. Okay. I think you guys have filled up the form for the best cooperation. And so, yes. Okay, so we'd like to share a small update. So, due to some unexpected weather conditions and power disruption, there has been a slight change in our schedule. Um, for our next session, Nirmal Pathak sir will be joining us, who will take us deeper into AWS global infrastructure. And in this session, you will learn about how AWS availability zones or edge locations work together to build highly available and scalable cloud applications. So, please, everyone, join me in giving a warm welcome to Nirmal Pathak sir.
Hello everyone.
Over to you,
I
sir.
hope I hope people are not feeling sleepy. So time to wake them up. I'll take it forward from here. Thank you, Tejasi, for introducing and inviting me for this session. Let me try to share my screen, and then we can get started. Okay. So I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Okay. So that's me. I'll not talk much about myself. So I'm Nirmal Pathak. With help of others, I run AWS User Group Vadodara, and I'm also an AWS community builder. So it's my fourth year community builder. So before we start, I just want to play this video. It's fine if the audio doesn't play. Important thing here is just to see the video and let me know, and maybe in chat, whether this interests you or not. So I'll just play this video. Okay, so that was the video. Did you find something interesting here in this video? You can say yes or no in the chat. So anyway, so that's what we are going to talk about. It's global infrastructure of AWS. So the video showed some servers, some networking equipments, some huge large buildings, and there were huge racks uh, filled with servers and networking devices. So that's what builds the AWS infrastructure. That was one of the data center where AWS runs their servers, and they have so many data centers globally. that's what we are going to look check today. So this is the brief agenda. We'll look the what is cloud infrastructure and why we need it, and how it is globally located, what is its design, and what other AWS infrastructure offerings that AWS provides. Okay, so first thing, why cloud infrastructure? So yesterday, I think Nilesh sir introduced us to cloud computing, and he very nicely explained that uh, cloud provides this four stuff, three major stuff, which is seen in my screen, which is increased agility and performance of your systems, unlimited scalability. So one of the point which Manthan earlier session talked about was the compute. So you can scale the compute. That's one example. You can have multiple VMs or EC2 instances, can be scaled in minutes. And another thing which we look in cloud infrastructure is reliability. So I'm replacement for today's session because there was a power outage and another speaker's place, and that breaks the reliability of our session, right? But we are still we are still there. We are highly available. So I replace Abhilasha Madam, who was supposed to give a session today. So these are some of the few important things that we look in any cloud infrastructure. And another major factor in working with cloud is the cost. And the lower the cost, lower the expenditure of our infrastructure, right? So that's what we need. And AWS provides all of this. It provides highly secure infrastructure. It provides highly available infrastructure. It has performance in the hardware, the infrastructure that they provide. It provides scalability, and most important thing is the innovation. So those who are following AWS, they might be aware that there are not only NVIDIA provides GPU instances, GPUs. AWS also has their own GPU instances and GPU hardware. GPUs basically graphical processing units, and that's where they innovate. They keep on not relying on others. They work with others, but also they try to become self-reliant. And not only this was the only example of GPU is one of the example of innovation, but if you know about if you following AWS, then there are every now and then there are few new features which are being introduced, or new innovative technologies mostly introduced in the reinvent, which usually happens in the last week of November, first week of December in Vegas. So yeah, so this is what we look in any cloud infrastructure which we opt for. And there are a lot of cloud providers, and AWS is one of them, and it is, I think, one of the first cloud services which started provided cloud computing. Rest just followed. Okay, so another I will, so this is just a glance of AWS global infrastructure, and we will go through in little bit in depth, brief, while going ahead. So two important things to notice here is regions and availability zones. So when Manthan was talking about EC2 instance, creation of EC2 instances, he also talked about regions. And I'm not sure, I did not follow his talk, but he might have also shown, or we will talk about availability zones. So these are two very important things when you work on AWS cloud: regions and availability zones, that we will look as we move ahead. And there is also something called AWS local zones, which are, let's say, uh, they work close with the availability zones on AWS, right? So they are for low latency usage on cloud. They are mainly used for that. So as we move along, we'll see what it provides, how it looks, and how things work out. And so other few infrastructure stuff that they provide is Amazon CloudFront. uh, and Amazon CloudFront is nothing but a CDN, a content delivery network, right? So those who know content delivery network might interest this, you might be interested in this service, but we'll explain when we move along CDN as well, what it is. Just a brief touch on CDN and what CDN offering AWS has in CloudFront. And there are few which two more services which are, I cannot say it's part of global infrastructure, but that those are part of local infrastructure, let's say. So which is AWS Outpost and AWS Wavelength. So we'll talk about this through as we go. So these 4 5 stuff are their major part of building AWS infrastructure. So this is the global infrastructure map. So here it says this is how the regional expansion of AWS started. So when it started, for the first 5 years, they only had four regions, which you can see in this map here: North California, North Virginia, Ireland, and Singapore. So North Virginia was one of the first region, and even today, which is their first most important regions. Most of the new services introduced by AWS are usually available in the North Virginia region first. And just to crack a joke, this is the most region which breaks mostly. So, but yeah, so things go down, and that is why we need a highly reliable, highly available global infrastructure. So as things started, so currently AWS has AWS is available in almost 5 to 6 continents throughout the world. All 6 continents, I would say, because I see Cape Town as well. So yeah, so they are geographically available in 39 regions, which includes in within like 6 continents of the world. And there are 123 availability zones and 750 plus point of presence POPs. I'll explain what those things are. But as you see, things started moving gradually. So we are currently in 20th year of AWS just completed its 20th year of launching AWS service. So in 20 years, they are almost running in almost 40 geographical runnings. The slide which I have might be slight older. So by this time, they might have introduced one more region and few more availability zones and POPs. So this is globally available. All this AWS available throughout the world. So that's why it's called global infrastructure of AWS. And there are local zones which are available, which are supporting zones to availability zones which are available. So we'll talk about region availability zones next slide. So this is local zone which are supporting zones for low latency workloads on AWS. So when you, let's say you create an EC2 instance, you cannot create something directly on local zones. We need to enable local zones first, and then you create. And mainly the core services like EC2, storage S3, and database services are available for low latency workload. So low latency means let's say you are running some real-time application which needs quick database connectivity and stuff, similar stuff like that. So you can get help of local zones to run your workloads there, along with your primary availability zones or region, right? Okay, so this is AWS region. So if you see, AWS region is globally available. So when I create an instance or of a VM or database or whatever on cloud, or particularly in AWS cloud, you need to select a region. And how do you select a region? The region should be closer to the user who is going to use your application, right? So let's say we are most of us are in Gujarat. So closest region for AWS region for me is Mumbai. So I'll choose Mumbai region. So in Mumbai region, there will be multiple availability zones. So what are availability zones? Availability zones are basically a physical data center. So here each AZ means, it can mean a data center, a physical data center, or so and data center is where all your hardware, the physical infrastructure lies, right? So and each region basically has that provides full redundancy. So let's say there is heavy rain today in Mumbai, and in one of the data center of Mumbai region goes down, then there is another region, maybe not residing in Mumbai, but closer to Mumbai, let's say Navi Mumbai or somewhere in Pune, you don't know, but it's closer to Mumbai region, Mumbai as a city, and that's how it provides redundancy for fault tolerance, right? And uh, yeah, so that's AWS region, and region has availability zones. uh, let's see next. Yeah, so each availability zone is fully isolated partition of AWS global infrastructure, right? So it is isolated. Each availability zone is a separate physical data center or physical presence. It has physical presence different to the other one. It has meaningful distance of separation. So that's what I gave an example. So that if there is a flood in, let's say, proper Mumbai, then it should be, they have some distance criteria that next data center or next IEZ availability zone should be at least 1,000 kilometer away from the main availability zones, availability zone or data center, right? And everyone has a unique power infrastructure. So it's not like that you can have one power source which is given to both the data centers. They are separate. Everything is separate. Data center is separate. The source of power, everything is different, so that if one goes down, another can handle the load. And there are thousands of servers at scale. So that's what we call server farm. So I worked on data centers. I worked previously on server farms. So I've seen from inside, and that's why I was eager to show the video at the beginning, that how a data center looks like, with bunch of servers and lots of network cables. Anyway, so data centers are connected by fully redundant isolated metro fiber. So the backbone, the connection, networking connection among the data centers or AZs are run on high redundant fiber optics network, right? So they're fast. So this is what their a network design is. So if you see, there are intra AZ connection. Intra AZ means AZ1 to AZ2, availability zone 1 and 2. Inter AZ connection, and there is also something called transit gateway. As we move along during this week, you might learn something about VPC, virtual private cloud, and might come to know that what is transit gateway in the networking section. So but there are, so basically a transit gateway connects your, let's say, physical data center which is outside of AWS, your personal data center, on-premise network center, data center, which can connect to AWS through a transit gateway. So it has a separate connections for all those networking services. Yeah, so this is how it builds the entire network structure. So all this, so it says this global network is connected with 100 GB network network with private capacity between regions except China. So China, there are some restrictions, right? But uh, all over the world, entire network is fiber optic with 100 GB speed, and there is something called direct connect, which is which is related to your on-premise data center or multi-cloud. Let's say you are connecting with mm, different cloud provider. You can use direct connect, and direct connect is also used for point of presence. So point of presence is basically uh, something like the edge locations or CDN, content delivery networks. So all this are this is the global network of AWS, right? So that was the first part of AWS global infrastructure. It has regions, it has availability zones. Within availability zones, there are supporting local zones which are closer to the uh, 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 main availability zone to support high latency applications. And there is something called Amazon CloudFront, which is content delivery network. So content delivery network. So everyone might be watching cricket matches on maybe Hotstar, or I don't know. Now everyone one might be watching FIFA World Cup, right? It's streaming on OTT platforms. So all these videos which are streaming, or even at least if you are not a fan of any sports, you might be watching something, maybe Netflix, some films. So all this data which is there, it may be lying somewhere in different region. If you're watching let's say a movie on Netflix, it might be residing somewhere. The main copy of that movie film will be residing somewhere in US, or somewhere in Australia, or somewhere in Europe. And if you mostly might have observed in the live streaming of sports, you will always say delay. So if your friend is watching on a ground, let's say a cricket match is going on in Mumbai, and you are watching the stuff on your TV, OTT, any TV, when the dish TV, let's say, there will be delay of micro millisecond delay of the live event, right? So that's a latency. So basically, content delivery network tries to eliminate this delay by providing content closer to the user. So basically, it caches all your content locally closer to the user. Let's say now we are in Ahmedabad or Vadodara. It will cache your stuff closer to the user edge location, and it will try to uh, avoid delay, right? So CloudFront is a content delivery network, and currently it's available in 750 plus location, and there are 400 plus edge locations, and there are regional caches. So each one of them is its own terminology. Each technology is different, so I will not go what is edge caches, regional edge caches, and stuff like that. But I just want to explain that there is a content delivery network available globally on AWS, which has this many point of presence. Right. 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 Okay. So that's was much about the global infrastructure. So these next two slides of mine would be of other AWS infrastructure which they provide, which is something called Outpost. So it's a AWS infrastructure as a service, which basically they provide you a rack. So this is a server rack, the white thing that you see, white box. There are rack servers, there are networking devices, there are storage devices inside a rack, and you can place this on your data center. So a big not everyone can afford this, right? A big enterprises usually can afford this kind of outpost service. But important thing is that if a lot of people are concerned about the data residing somewhere on the cloud which may not be secure, and they have maybe compliance issues with the stuff like this, like data or the other compliance issue, not only related to data, but even the hardware. So uh, you can purchase a service AWS Outpost, and you can bring your hardware to your premises on data center, and you can manage it through AWS console, and which is and you can also connect this to your AWS cloud, which is real cloud, which is running on internet, uh, and uh, and, and existing with your on-premise AWS Outpost. So this is a hybrid experience which you can get, but everything can be managed through a single console. uh, that's what it provides. And next, yeah, and another service which they recently introduced is AWS Wavelength. So AWS Wavelength is mainly for telecom providers. Basically, it's similar to let's say Outpost. Basically, they uh, put their hardware to customer service provider. Uh, let's say you are having an Airtel running or Geo kind of telecom provider, and to run your infrastructure there, you can use this, and your customers, or Airtel or Geo telecoms customers, can directly use the services, mainly for, let's say, 4G 5G devices that they can use. So this is a recently introduced service a few years ago, around a year ago. So but this is important, this is upcoming. Mm, Again, this helps for data latency, low latency data residency resiliency needs, right? So for low latency, this is very helpful. Yeah, and so if you want to learn more about this, these are some links. So when you get the slides, you might be able to go through it. And my slides might be a little bit outdated, so I'll share my another tab and share the current updated updates of global infrastructure, because I cannot show you data center by going in the data center, and I cannot say anything practically because it's highly secure area. So let me just quickly walk through by sharing my screen again. And right, so I hope you can see my screen, right? So this AWS global infrastructure page, you can go here, it's there in my slide. So most of the stuff are very nicely explained here. So if you see, they have they have listed all the regions, right? Available edge locations with the location name where they are actually located. You can hover the here and see where you are, where you want to see. You can. So this is for Middle East, Germany. You can also go through here and check what's available. So if you are not sure, let's say you are somewhere here in Madagascar, right? This is Madagascar, and if you want to know what's the closest region for you, you can go to this map and see. Okay, this is available in Cape Town, which is in South Africa. Or yeah, so you can easily find out what's available closer to your region. And yeah, so these are the updated data of global cloud infrastructure which they have. uh, and so yeah, you can get all the news, all the updates. So see, there is always, I see this news, there's AWS launch new region somewhere, a new tool. It launched a new region in New Zealand. So currently in India there are two regions, Mumbai and Hyderabad, and there is one local zone in Delhi. So local zones might be shown somewhere else because this is global infrastructure page. uh, yeah, so for each of them, each of the infrastructure solutions, you can click and read more about it. Yeah, so yeah, so this is the example that they are showing, who are the customers, right? Some gaming company, a streaming company, a database company. All these companies use local zones for low latency workloads. Basically, low latency means provide the data faster to the users. So I think, yeah, that's it from me. So thank you for joining. And as I represent AWS User Vadodara, you can join AWS User Vadodara or connect with your SBG leaders and stay connected. I think that's it from me. So any questions, if I can answer? So I see one question: if we create a global website, so which region we can choose, right? So global website means, so you can better option, I would suggest, use a CDN, content delivery network, a CloudFront, which is available globally. So you host your application, your website at one location, let's say closer to you or closer to most of your users are, and then choose CloudFront to serve it globally. So there is also local sounds more like a zone. It's a AWS. It's not AWS data partners data center, but it is uh, handled by AWS themselves. So that's why I also wanted to show. There was one link where how they build the data center, which is very important. uh, what kind of security measures that they take at that point of time, which is uh, which is very critical for your, particularly for your data. So I think, yeah, that's it from me. If any questions, please, I'm ready to answer, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, I can answer. So yeah, over to you, Tejasvi or Hardik, where is running the show today.
Uh, yes, sir. Thank you so much, Nirmal sir, for such an incredible and insightful, engaging sessions. And your session, your practical knowledge, and real world experience have made today's session incredibly valuable for all of us. Thank you so much, sir. And also,
Thank you.
we will extend our sincere thanks to Manthan Sir as well for delivering such as excellent hands-on session on Amazon EC2 and compute services earlier. And of course, huge thank you to every participant who joined us today. Your enthusiasm, questions, and active participations are what make this community stronger. So we hope you learned something new that you can apply throughout your cloud journey. And before we conclude, if you haven't already registered, please make sure you have submitted your attendance, your feedback forms. We will be sharing today's recording, important announcement, learning resources through AWS Builder Center space. So joined it. The link was in the chat as well. And stay connected with us. We also encourage everyone to share your key takeaways by writing a blog on AWS Builder Center, because building is important, but sharing is what you build, and learn is what help grows the community. So inspire others to start their cloud journey. And we'll be back tomorrow with another exciting session as a part of AWS Gujarat Students Builder Week 2026. And we can't wait to see you all again. Until then, keep learning, keep building, and keep sharing. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.